Vanakkam. Welcome everyone for this workshop, Prāṇa Smaraṇam. The primary goal of this workshop is to help you master the breath. Ancient yogic practices have provided us with numerous techniques to extend the breath, cleanse the body, and skillfully direct prana to achieve specific outcomes. You can explore the science behind these practices in detail across several videos on my channel. This workshop is a practice-based class where we will explore each and every technique, understand its nuances, and practice it together for several rounds. I will answer your questions towards end of the workshop. Today's workshop is built around three key principles which are essential for mastering the breath. The first one is how to improve the quality of inhaled breath. The second principle is understanding the ratio and the exhalation to achieve desired goals. The third principle is how to channelize the energy, that is the prana, at physical, physiological and mental level using the concept Bandhas. Now let us start with the first principle of improving the quality of the inhaled breath. Imagine you have a jug that is half filled with dirty or turbid water. If you want to fill it with pure clean water, what is the first thing you would do? You wouldn't simply add fresh water on top of the dirty water, right? You would empty the jug, perhaps even rinse it before pouring in clean water. Our bodies work in a similar manner. Over time, our lungs accumulate impurities like residual carbon dioxide, which is not cleared, will become toxic in the body. So before you can fill your lungs with fresh oxygen-rich air through all these pranayama practices, first we have to empty the residual carbon dioxide. If you observe your breathing throughout the day, you will notice that we often take very shallow breaths, especially when we are stressed or when we are multitasking. We may occasionally take a deep inhalation, but we rarely focus on a full deliberate breath. Incomplete breathing leaves behind a stale air, that is the residual carbon dioxide, over a period of time, which becomes toxin. Now our body, every muscle, every cell is oxygenated through good blood. That is like, the arteries carry the good blood throughout our body and the veins carry the deoxygenated impure blood back to the heart, where the heart pumps the blood back to the lungs for purification. This is a continuous vital process. Yogic practices, particularly pranayama, enhance this natural cycle by improving the lung capacity, promoting even exchange and receiving more oxygen in one pump of heartbeat. Now you may wonder, you may know some people who are not doing any of the pranayama practices or not doing any kind of exercise, but still their organs are working, right? Their arteries are bringing good blood, their veins are clearing the bad blood. Then why should I bother? The difference lies in the efficiency. When your lungs are in the peak condition, capable of taking in a higher volume of oxygen with each breath, your heart doesn't have to work so hard to pump the same amount of oxygenated blood. This means a healthier cardiovascular system and better overall health of the body. Now let us get back to the question of how to improve the quality of the inhalation, or otherwise how to remove the turbid water from the water jet, how to remove the residual carbon dioxide from your system. Ancient Hatha Yoga text talks about several Kriyas, cleansing techniques, to remove the toxins from the body. One of the technique is called Kapalabhati. We will just go over the principles of Kapalabhati, how it is to be done. We will get into the practice. All of you get into a comfortable seated posture. Now let us start with the etymology of the Kapalabhati. Kapala means skull and Bhati is to cleanse. So Kapalabhati is to cleansing the skull. Kapala is skull, so cleansing the skull. What we are doing is actually removing the residual carbon dioxide from your lungs. Then why do you think this name Kapalabhati, skull shining exercise? right? Because when you remove all the residual carbon dioxide from your lungs, you are able to take good fresh amount of oxygen, which actually shines your skull, which actually shines not only your skull, your entire body. So Kapalabhati is something where you do forceful exhalation and passive inhalation. Most of the time, as I told you earlier, we do take very passive inhalation, passive exhalation. We don't actually deliberately take a very active exhalation. So using Kapalabhati, maybe once in a day, you are removing completely all the residual carbon dioxide by taking the forceful exhalation. Let us now explain how it works. Our thoracic region and our abdominal region are divided by a dome-shaped muscle called diaphragm. We saw about yogic breathing in the last workshop in detail and how this diaphragm works during exhalation and inhalation, right? And if you have not watched it, there is also a separate video on yogic breathing, how this diaphragm works during each and every breath, during inhalation and the exhalation. So coming back to the principle of Kapalabhati, when you exhale and when you do it very quickly, active exhalation, quickly pulling the navel inside and contracting the abdomen, you are quickly pushing the diaphragm on the upward direction. This will empty the lungs with whatever residual carbon dioxide it has with force, because you are actually initiating a little bit of force here. So once it is done, the inhalation comes passive. We will be doing this for few rounds. We will today start with 10 pumps, the first set, if you are completely new to Kapalabhati. And then we will practice 2 more sets of 20 pumps each. So when you do this everyday basis, the rest of the day, the time that you are not practicing Kapalabhati, your lungs is cleared of any carbon dioxide, and whatever breath you take or the pranayama practices that you do right after the Kapalabhati is much more efficient. Now let's get into the practice. Before that, I would like to talk about the contraindications for Kapalabhati, meaning who should not do it Kapalabhati. I know most of the yogic practices are very helpful, but for some medical reason, there are certain contraindications. For some people, you should not do Kapalabhati. The first and foremost, if you are having acidity issues, if you are having irritable bowel syndrome or acid reflux, and if it is very active during that period, Kapalabhati may aggravate it further. The reason is there is a heat that is generated during active exhalation, and that heat may aggravate your acidity. So those people who have acid reflux and IBS should not do it. Then the second contraindication for people who have some heart condition, because when you exhale quickly, the diaphragm is pushing the thoracic region up, so that may be a kind of a little bit strain to the heart. So you have to check out this practice if you can do it. Some of you may be come out of this heart condition for a very long time, so you may be eligible for doing that. Just check with your doctor. And people who have hypertension, if your BP is not under control and if it is very erratic, then this is a very active practice. Kapalabhati is a very active practice, so that will generate your or increase your blood pressure little higher than the normal. But that doesn't mean that whoever is taking medication for hypertension and keeping in control should not practice Kapalabhati at all. It's not like that. Check with your doctor, or what I suggest is not to do continuous exhalation for 30 or 40 pumps. Do 10 pumps, take few breaks, and then again 10 pumps and again slow pumps. Classical Hatha Yoga Pratipika talks about Kapalabhati 2 pumps per second. That is very, very aggressive way of doing, and you can only do that after several months of practice. Even people who have no contraindication should start slow, then build your capacity to that level. So coming back to the contraindication. So hypertension, you have to be careful, and women during pregnancy and during menstrual cycle should avoid Kapalabhati. So now let's get into the practice. Sit comfortable. If you have recently done any surgeries in the abdomen, of course, you should avoid Kapalabhati. Now, another contraindication that I can think is if your chest is fully congested, if you're having an infection, active infection, then it may be a strain for your lungs if you do Kapalabhati. you may ask the question, so we are doing Kapalabhati to remove the germs or remove the impurities, then why not to do during a cold, right? Assuming like you are going to a place where you think, oh, today I may get infected, looks like, I'm going to get a cold symptoms. So at that point of time, the very next day, if you do Kapalabhati, it will clear all the infection from the very first point where the germs will go sit, which is the nose. But then once you are contracted with cold or flu and your chest is congested, then at that point you should not do Kapalabhati, because that will be another strain, because there is the phlegm is like choked like throughout, like either in your facial region or like in your chest. At that point you should avoid. Done with all the contraindication. Now let us get into the practice. So whoever has not having any of this contraindication can practice along with me. Others, you can learn the technique, you can check with your doctor. If that is okay, you can practice. Now let's start with like 10 pumps of Kapalabhati first. Place your palm on the abdomen. There are some questions or like comments going on. I will answer like towards end of the workshop. So somebody has asked for sequence of the pranayama practice. Yes, remind me. I will talk about it towards end of the class. Now place the palm on your abdomen. This is to feel how your abdomen goes out in during the Kapalabhati. Now take couple of normal yogic breath. Inhale, chest expands, abdomen bulges out. Exhale, gently draw the navel inside, contract the abdomen. Inhale, exhale. Now what you're going to do, you're going to quickly pull the navel inside and then exhale. Something like this. Inhale. Relax. So if you are completely new to Kapalabhati, I will give you a clue on how to get a grasp of this kind of breath. When you want to blow a candle, what kind of force you will use? Like this, right? This is with the mouth. The same thing, if someone asks you to blow the candle with the mouth closed, only with the nose, what kind of pressure you will give? Right? This is exactly it. This is what you will be doing in Kapalabhati. The pressure is initiated from the lower abdomen by pulling the navel quickly inside. But the pressure is exerted through the nose. That is when it is having the capacity to clear all the impurities that gather, because nose has this fine hair follicles which actually has the capacity to trap the outside germs or impurities before it even gets into your throat or gets into your lungs, right? So every day when you do this in the morning, whatever impurities that you have gathered the day before, you are clearing it from the nose. This is one benefit. Another benefit, by forcefully pulling the navel inside and emptying the lungs, you are getting rid of your residual carbon dioxide that you have gathered throughout the day because of not doing long exhalation. Correct? So these are the two benefits. Now let's practice again. We are going to do 20 pumps. Remember, if you have any of the contraindication, just learn the technique. Go really slow. The tempo is also very important. Place the palm on the abdomen if you need to. If you are okay, if you are like still get a hang of it, you don't have to place the palm. I'm just placing the palm so that you will see how my abdomen is going inside. Inhale now. Start pumping. 20 pumps. Relax. Take a couple of normal breaths. Relax your chest muscle, relax your rib cage. You probably would have noticed I keep my eyes closed during Kapalabhati. Any yogic practices, it has to be done with the eyes closed. Today probably you may want to see me to learn the technique. It is okay. But when you do the personal practice, keep your eyes closed. And moreover, Kapalabhati, it's kind of increases the pressure, and it may increase the pressure on the eyes as well. So, it's better to keep your eyes closed to keep it relaxed. Now, we are going to go over an important variation of Kapalabhati. Most of my students ask this question, that when they get up in the morning, when they are ready to do pranayama practice, one nostril is blocked. The blockage is maybe due to physical or at a subtler pranic level. What I mean is physical is there may be some kind of an obstruction, phlegm, which will be cleared like if you blow your nose. But even if there is not any phlegm or any kind of obstruction, still people would feel that like one nostril is kind of weaker than the other nostril. One nostril is active than the other nostril. It is very a natural phenomena. That is how our body balances our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. But it goes beyond a limit, very noticeable, that you are not able to do pranayama. One side is completely blocked. I'm not talking about the blockage at the physical level. I'm talking the blockages at a very subtler level, at a pranic level. What is the best thing to do? This is a question normally most of my students ask. So, to answer that, there is a very beautiful variation of Kapalabhati where you will only focus on one nostril. But there is no harm in repeating the same on the other nostril as well, which is not blocked. That is no harm in it. So, we are going to do that, which is called single nostril Kapalabhati. You can use mudras in the hand for any nostril control. Left hand in chin mudra, connecting the thumb and the index finger. Right hand in mrigi mudra, bend the index finger and the middle finger. If you are not used to mudras, you can even use your thumb just to close one side of the nostril. Now let go of all the breath. We are again going to do 20 pumps. Close the right nostril. Inhale comfortably. Start pumping through the left nostril. Relax. This will clear any kind of blockages in that particular nostril. But repeat it on the other side as well. Close the left side with your ring finger if you are using the mudra, mrigi mudra, or you can just close it with your index finger. Inhale now, start pumping. Relax. Gentle breathing, effortless breathing. Now, I'm going to talk about few nuances in this practice. You probably be doing this already, but then certain things to keep in mind. The pumps, assuming you are doing 20 pumps, the tempo should be maintained throughout. It's not like you start with a fast tempo and then kind of slow it down because you are not able to do it. If you are noticing that, you should reduce the number of pumps. This is one. And another one, the force in which you are doing the pump, that also should not be reduced or increased. It has to be maintained standard. It is like you take one good inhalation and then when you start pumping, all those exhalations should be rationed out. If you are doing 20 pumps, it has to be rationed out throughout the 20 pumps. If you are doing 30, it has to be rationed. If you are not able to do that, stop with 10. So it's not like when you are doing inhale. Here, both the strength and the tempo has changed. Right? If you notice that, that means you are going overboard. You have to start slow and slowly build it up. Just because I gave you 10 or 20 pumps doesn't mean that you have to do 20 pumps. You can stop at your comfortable number of breaths where the tempo and the force in which it is delivered maintains the same. Another important thing is, when you doing Kapalabhati, never involve your facial muscles or your shoulders. Only the abdomen is involved. Some people kind of squish your face or kind of move the shoulders. That is not necessary. Sometimes for the want of increasing the force, you may do that, but eventually you will get settled with a rhythm where you will not use any part of your other body except your abdomen going in and out, right? So this is all about the quality of the inhalation that we do. When you do this Kriya, when you do the Kapalabhati every day in the morning, after you empty your bowel, you get into this practice. I normally suggest people, after you brush your teeth, after you empty your bowel, in the restroom itself, like, you can finish the Kapalabhati in front of your wash basin or whatever. So that, like, you completely clear your nose, then get into Pranayama practice. Like, if you are into that habit of doing the Pranayama practice. So now let's get into the second principle, in which, like, the Pranayama practices can be utilized to benefit our goals. That is the main key principle in which, like, we are conducting this workshop. You should know when and how, or how to variate the Pranayama in order to achieve the desired results, right? So the ratios in which you inhale and exhale plays a major role for achieving the desired results. There are 4 components in Pranayama. Classical Pranayama, as per Yoga Sutras, they talk about 4 important components, which is the inhale and then the exhale. You know both. And then there is this parameter inhale hold, which is called Antarkumbhaka. And then you have the exhale hold, that is, you are holding the breath without taking the next inhalation after you empty the lungs completely. This is an advanced practice. You have to slowly build this capacity over a period of time. Today we will focus more on the inhale hold. So when you are inhaling, this is called the Puraka. You are like filling up your lungs with good amount of oxygen, and then you are holding the breath for some time when you are practicing the inhale hold. That is a energizing practice. It is called as Brahmana practice. You are holding the energy inside to conserve it or to utilize it later on throughout your day. Most of the yogic practices comes under 3 categories, which is Brahmana, which is the energizing practice, and then you have the Langana, which is very relaxing and calming practice. I am talking both Pranayama and Asana. And then you have the Shodhana, which is the cleansing practice. For example, the Kapalabhati that we did right now comes under the Shodhana, that is the cleansing practice. So most of the yogic practices comes under these 3. And Langana practice, which is like calming and relaxing, is what we will use for getting into a Dharana stage or the meditative stage. The Brahmana practice is something like which you do in the morning for you to be active throughout. Our body, our nervous system is controlled by 2 important hands. The sympathetic nervous system, which is also called as fight or flight response. The parasympathetic nervous system, which is called the rest or digest response. We need both. We need a balance of both. That is why certain practices like Nadishodhana and there are most of the yogic practices, when you do the counter asana, you get a holistic balance of both the thing. But sometimes when you are very stressed out and the sympathetic nervous system is so active, when you have a deadline to finish, when you have an event coming up, you are working towards that, when you have a project to complete in your office, then constantly the sympathetic nervous system is active, and that will build up your stress. The stress hormone cortisol will start affecting other parts of the body. It will make your brain work so well because of that cortisol and the adrenaline that you get. Your brain will work so well, you will be able to complete the task efficiently. Some people may say, given 10 days I'm not able to do, but the last 2 days I'm efficiently able to finish a project. How do you do that? Because enormous amount of stress hormones is directing you to finish that work. But what happens? On the other hand, it takes a toll on your other internal organs, your skin, your performance of your internal organs, like secretion of certain chemicals, bile, and digestive juices. All those things goes for a toss because the stress hormone is now focusing to get your efficiency on your brain. So during that time, you have to deliberately trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So how do you do that? When you adjust this ratio such that you do more exhalation than the inhalation, then your parasympathetic nervous system gets activated. Say for example, you inhale for 3 seconds and then exhale for anywhere from 5 to 6 seconds. then that triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. You will immediately feel the calmness in your mind. On the other hand, you're feeling very lethargic, like in yogic terms we called as tamasic. There are 3 gunas in the body. In that, tamas is something like which creates that letharginess, like inertia. You want to just stay or you want to sleep. If you're feeling that, that means like you're lacking some energy in the body. You need to do some Brahmana practice. At that time, you will introduce the inhale, hold. Inhale, hold, and then exhale. So when you want to do the Shodhana, of course, like there are like Kriyas like Kapalabhati where you do Shodhana. There is another way cleansing happens in the system. When you introduce the 4th component, hold after exhale, which will actually create an Agni or like a beneficial Jatara Agni in your abdomen when you hold after exhale and direct that energy towards the fire. That is the Apana is the corresponding prana that works on this system, like elimination of the toxins. That works very efficiently, and then like you can create a Shodhana effect. So Brahmana effect, energizing practices like you do pranayama with inhale and inhale hold, and then exhale can be equal to that of the inhalation. And doing when it comes to asana, doing Surya Namaskar several rounds energizes you, maintains that energy for throughout the day. When you do inhale postures like warrior sequence, whenever you open your chest and take good amount of inhalation, all the back arches, back bends, all those things like energize you. These are all Brahmana practice. And the second, Langana practice, when you want to calm end of the day after coming back from work, you want to like relax your mind, or just before going to sleep you want to calm your mind, then you do long exhalation. And when you want to do Shodhana, we will talk in detail about in the 3rd, where we channelize the energy about this Shodhana practice. Now let's get into a Nadishodhana practice. 2 types we are going to do. The first practice, we are going to do a energizing practice. Inhale, hold, and then exhale. The second practice, we will do a calm, relaxing practice. Let's see that now. Get into comfortable seated posture. We went in detail about the Nadishodhana in the first part of this workshop, or if you have not watched it, there is also a separate video on Nadishodhana. Watch it after this workshop in detail to understand the science behind the Nadishodhana. So left hand in Chin Mudra, connecting the thumb and the index, right hand in Mrigi Mudra. We are going to do 4 parts inhalation, holding the breath for 6 counts, which is like more than the inhale. Here again the contraindication, inhale hold. People who have hypertension and heart condition should avoid inhale hold. You can avoid the inhale hold and join me for the exhalation, or continue with your own breath cycle. Never hold the breath. Rest of us, let's do 4 inhalation, holding for 6 seconds, and then again 4 counts of exhalation. So here we are doing 1:1 ratio. Inhale 4 counts, exhale 4 counts. If you think inhale 4 counts and exhale 4 counts is very high or low, feel free to adjust the ratio. You can do 3 inhale, 3 exhale, or you can do 5 inhale, 5 exhale based on your comfort length. I am going to give you instruction for 4 inhalation. Let go of all the breath. Left hand in Chin Mudra, right hand in Mrigi Mudra. Let go of all the breath. Place the fingers softly close to the nose. Close the right nostril, inhale left. Hold the breath. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right exhale. Right inhale. Hold the breath. Left exhale. Left inhale. Hold the breath. Right exhale. Right inhale. Om 4, Om 3, Om 2, Om 1. Hold the breath. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left exhale. Om 4, Om 3, Om 2, Om 1. Left inhale. hold the breath, right exhale, right inhale, hold, left exhale, left inhale, hold the breath, right exhale, hold, right inhale, hold the breath, left exhale, left inhale, hold the breath, right exhale, right inhale, hold, left exhale completely, drop your hands down, gentle breathing. Relax your body, relax your facial muscles, chest muscles. This is an energizing practice, something like you can do in the morning. I've only holding the inhale hold is only 1.5 times of the inhalation, that is 4 seconds inhale we did and 6 seconds exhale, 6 seconds holding. That's what we did today. But then the classical ratio is 1:4. That is 1 parts of inhalation, 4 parts of holding the breath. That is a very advanced practice. You should not jump into it right away. You have to build your practice towards that level. 4 times, in the sense like if you are doing 4 seconds inhalation, you will be holding for 16 seconds. Some of the regular practitioners like who will be able to do that. But what you can do is you can, from now what we did is like 1.5 times, right? 4 and 6. You can slowly make it as 8 seconds hold. 4 seconds inhalation, 8 seconds hold. So that is making it as 1:2 ratio. Slowly build that up to 1:3. That is good enough. If you are like hardcore pranayama practitioner, every day you are doing, then you can increase the capacity to 1:4 times ultimate Brahmana practice. Alright. Now let us see the second variation where we will see how a Langana effect can be created using the same Nadishodhana practice. Before that, there are a couple of questions here. I am regularly taking medicines for hypertension and it is under control. Can I do all pranayama exercises? Very good question. So if it is under control, inhale, hold up to 1.5 times or 1 time. Say 4 seconds inhalation, you do 4 seconds hold. That shouldn't harm you, or that shouldn't increase your BP. If you are in the habit of checking your blood pressure at home, if you have a apparatus at home, what I suggest is you do this practice on the day 1:1 holding, because like you get the benefit of the inhale hold. Just because you are taking medication for hypertension, and most of us in the world are hypertension. It's not that it's a very few cases. Just because that you need not not practice this kind of a good practice. So you test your BP after the practice. Then the second day you make it as 1.5. Up to 2 should be fine. Not beyond that if you are having hypertension, because sometimes BP may be erratic. It may not be the same way as you measured in the morning that day. It may be erratic. So stop at maximum 1.5 to 2 times the inhale hold. Okay. And then what about Pitta body types? Another question, what about Pitta body type? So Pitta body type is something like you already having a heat in the body. The heat is little bit high. On those days, not every day, on those days when the Pitta is very aggravated, or you are feeling very acidity, avoid the Brahmana practices. In the sense energizing practice, like multiple rounds of Surya Namaskar also generates a little bit of Pitta, heat in the system. So generate that and create a calming practice. Create like more exhalation. If you're doing asana, do more of exhale postures than inhale postures. And when you're doing pranayama, relax by doing twice that of your inhalation. So those times though it will come. And there are certain pranayamas that will bring down your pitta. For example, Chandra Bedana Pranayama, which generates the moon energy. And then you have Shitali Pranayama, Shitkari Pranayama. These are all pranayamas that will cool the body. We will take this discussion probably in another video. Now let's continue with the second practice of generating parasympathetic nervous system, that is the Langana practice with the ratio 1:2. Here I am not introducing the inhale hold. In fact, like Naren, you can follow this principle 1:2, where on all those who are having hypertension can follow this ratio. Let's start this now. Again, left hand in Chin Mudra, right hand in Mrigi Mudra. One normal breath. Get the fingers close to the nose, barely touching, not closing both sides. Now closing the right side completely. Inhale through left. Exhale right. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right inhale. Om 4, Om 3, Om 2, Om 1. Left exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Longer if possible. Left inhale. Right exhale. Right inhale. Left exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left inhale. Right exhale. Right inhale. Continue. We're going to do few more rounds. Left inhale. Right exhale. Right inhale. Left exhale. Left inhale. Right exhale. Right inhale. Left exhale. Left inhale. Right exhale. See if we can go up to 8 counts. Right inhale. Left exhale. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left inhale. Right exhale. Right inhale. Left exhale completely. Relax. Drop your hands down. Few normal breaths. So ratio is one of the technique by which you can enhance your parasympathetic nervous system by making it longer. But pranayama techniques have several techniques to trigger this parasympathetic nervous system. You have Brahmari pranayama, you have Shitali pranayama to cool your body. In general, if you have done a Brahmana practice, that is energizing practice, always it is good to counter it with a cooling pranayama or counter it with a very relaxing, calming pranayama. Something like Brahmari or Shitali pranayama. I normally during the class right after the Kapalapati I give a Shitali pranayama practice, because for some of you the heat may be generated so high, it is always better to counter it with the Shitali Pranayama. So when you do the counter, any kind of like ill effects in case if there is any based upon one's body condition will get neutralized. Alright. Now couple of questions here. It is easy to hold after inhalation, but after exhalation I feel a little tough. Yes, we still haven't gone into the fourth component, hold after exhale. That is little bit advanced practice. In fact, the third key principle we are going to talk about is introduction to Bandhas. And in Bandhas, it is very important that you should have developed the capacity of hold after exhale. So that is why today it's just an introduction. You may just try it out here and there, but then like you have to eventually build your capacity to easily hold after exhale, not with stress. If you're holding after exhale and then like you're waiting to take the next inhalation, that means you're still not ready for Bandhas. Okay, so for somebody to do Bandhas, your hold after exhale capacity should be slowly built up, and it has to be in a good level. Say even for 3 to 4 seconds, you should be able to hold after exhale. Only then employing the Bandha will have the effect in the internal organs. We will go over it in the third technique we are going to talk about. Another question, what pranayama should we do to get focus who have issues with sustained focus? Yes. So there are pranayamas, but to answer your question straight, dharana practice is the one to improve your focus. That comes under the meditation talk. Maybe like, we'll take it up another video on that. Dharana is a practice where you bring one pointedness, repeatedly bringing your attention to one particular object. It could be any object, that eyes open with eyes closed. When you do eyes closed, you can like focus on your third eye chakra or your heart chakra, or your breath itself can be your point of focus. When you repeatedly bring that focus, then your focus gets improved. And in general, to answer you the first part of your question, like which pranayama helps? When you do Brahmana practice and when you do inhale, hold the breath, you are bringing focus there. So that also helps your helps to improve your focusing capability, your sustained focus to one particular thing you do. It need not be like meditation. It could be like even whatever job you do, not getting distracted. In general, if you're practicing pranayama on a daily basis, you get that focus naturally. You don't even have to think about which pranayama is helping, which pranayama is not. No. If you get into the practice of all the different variations of pranayama and keep in rotation every day, then you will automatically get that focus. Alright. So now let's get into the third practice. We're not having much time left. Channelizing the energy, that is the prana, through bandhas. So we talked in detail about what is prana and how it is running in our nadis, that is the channel that carry pranas, in our first workshop. To kind of summarize it, let me ask you a question. Is prana same as breath? Breath is a vehicle in which prana is traveling, like how we move around with any vehicle. Likewise, prana is moving around in your body using breath as a vehicle. So in order to enhance and work or channelize the prana, if you want to direct the prana towards one particular region, then you have to work on your breath and you have to work on certain techniques called bandhas in order to channelize your energy. Bandhas are nothing but a neuromuscular lock that you apply on your internal organs. It could be your throat region, or it could be your diaphragm, abdomen, or it could be your lower muscles, your pelvic floor muscles. And so, there is also another bandha called Jig bandha, where you roll the tongue and create a lock here. There are several bandhas. So these bandhas will direct the prana towards that particular region and get some benefit at the physiological level, at the physical level also. But there are also a lot of spiritual benefits of practicing bandhas, because it has the capacity to raise your kundalini power, your kundalini energy. That's all advanced practice. We are talking about how it can benefit our day-to-day life. So for that you have to develop the capacity of exhale hold over a period of time. So if you are very new to exhale hold component, that is the fourth component, you just listen and learn today. Over a period of time you can increase it and then get into the bandhas. So the first bandha that we are going to talk about is Jalandhara bandha. This is done on inhale hold. It should be also done on exhale hold. Any holding part you will do the bandhas. So during the inhale hold, you will hold this bandha, Jalandhara bandha. Jalandhara bandha is also called as chin lock. So you sit comfortably. Palms can be on the edge of your thighs. Keep your torso nice and long. The ultimate aim here is you should not slouch. You should not crunch your abdomen or curve your back. That is why people recommend Padmasana. Okay. If you can achieve that sitting on a regular chair itself, if you are not able to sit on the floor, then you can do that. In the sense you expand your legs a little bit. Do not slouch back on your couch or chair. Best is to sit on a dining chair if you are not able to sit on the floor. If you are able to sit on the floor, get into Sukhasana, comfortable lotus position. Not everybody can do Padmasana, and if you are not into the habit of regular asana practice, then Padmasana will create a strain on your knee joint, and that should not be a hindrance to your practice, right? So get into any comfortable seated position, but the torso has to be nice and long. So the neck kept nice and long initially. Inhale now. Lengthen your neck. Then drop your chin down towards the chest. So remember, this is not neck down. This is chin down. What is the difference? When the chin is down, you can feel a kind of a constriction or a contraction happening on the sides of the neck. That is what we are aiming, and a pressure in the center. Exactly in your thyroid gland, there is a pressure. This also stimulates your thyroid gland and your parathyroid gland, regulating calcium in your body. So inhale, lengthen your neck, chin is dropped towards the chest in Jalandhara bandha. Hold the breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lift the chin. You don't have to come back to the neutral position. Just half an inch and then release the breath. Let's do this one more time. Inhale. Chin is tucked in. You're holding the breath to your comfort level. I'm only giving like 6 seconds hold here now. When you're ready to exhale, chin is just lifted half an inch. Exhale. So that you're not still having that constriction, not having a hindrance to exhale. Right? This is Jalandhara bandha. Okay. This is applied on the chin lock, and it gives the pressure on the neck. If you think about it, during the Jalandhara bandha, you can never slouch. So what you are doing here actually is the inhalation you did, you're holding, and then you're directing the prana towards the abdomen region, that is towards the Agni, where you have the Jatara Agni, and helps your digestion process. So this is channelizing energy in a straight line. If you are slouching and you are taking inhalation, your body goes like a curve, right? It is not directly goes towards gravity. When you are sitting straight with the torso erect and chin tucked in, you can never slouch. So holding this pose throughout the practice is ideal. If you have the capacity to hold the Jalandhara bandha throughout the practice, you can do it. But some people find it difficult during inhalation and exhalation. So at that time, you can just, you don't have to come up like this. You can just lift the chin like half an inch above for you to freely inhale and exhale. And then again lock it during the inhale hold or during the exhale hold. So let me answer a question if it is related to Jalandhara bandha. Pranayama 2 years but never tried bandhas. Okay. I tried the Jalandhara and other abdomen and pelvic bandhas last week. I felt dizzy after doing that. So, okay. So you have to be very careful because as I told you earlier, bandhas is an advanced practice. You should be a pranayama practitioner or with the guidance of your teacher. you should be practicing one by one slowly and build it up to the capacity. So dizziness may be because, like, you know, I don't know if you practiced Uddiyana Bandha. Mula Bandha could not have caused dizziness, but Uddiyana Bandha, since, like, you know, there is a pressure going to your lungs on the hold after exhale part, there may be, like, you know, a breathing difficulty. So lack of oxygen may cause blackout. This is a very rare case. This doesn't happen all the time, so not to be scared of. But then, like, you know, you have to build your capacity with your guidance of your yoga teacher and slowly take it up to this level of practicing all three bandhas together. That is why, like, you know, I would like to give only an introduction. Just learn the concept. You have to build it up. I would like to stress that point repeatedly. Another question is, like, you know, some 78 years old, what practice you recommend? So it depends upon, like, you know, various conditions in your body. If you're not having any kind of contraindication that we listed earlier, you can practice all those things. But then again, like, you know, slowly building up to that capacity. Now let's get back to the bandhas. The second bandha that we are going to talk about is Uddiyana Bandha. Uddiyana is an ornament that we wear around the hip. So probably it is named after that, Uddiyana Bandha. Here what we are going to do, we are going to exhale completely, pull the navel inside, contract the abdomen, and take the navel as if you are taking inside and little upward direction, like a hook, and then hold here after the exhalation. So this is again depend upon your capacity to hold after exhale. We will just get a feel of it. We will only hold for 2 seconds. Inhale now. Exhale completely. Pull the navel inside, contract the abdomen, cave in the abdomen inside and up. Hold it here. Om 1, Om 2. Release the abdomen first, then take the inhalation. Repeat. Exhale completely. Pull the navel inside, contract the abdomen, cave in the abdomen inside and up, as if you are pulling it up. Hold here. Om 2, Om 1. Release the abdomen first. First release the bandha, then take the inhalation. This is also another reason, like, you know, why people may feel dizzy. Whenever you are holding the bandha, before taking the next inhalation, you have to release the bandha. Relax the diaphragm. Because, like, you know, during inhalation, your chest expands and your diaphragm has to be pushed down. If you are holding it tight, then there is not enough inhalation that happens in your body, right? So this is a very important concept. And this works on your internal organs. It helps your digestion process and directs the prana towards the samana region. Samana is one of the prana that helps your not only digestion, assimilation of nutrients, not only at physical level, but also at a mental level, to kind of assimilate all the experiences that you have around you. You have to take the learning, extract the learning out of bad experiences and let go of the bitter experience, right? So even that capacity is developed at the subtler level. The third bandha we are going to talk about is called Mula Bandha, which you apply in the pelvic floor. This is something, like, you know, where you apply on the hold after exhale again, contracting the pelvic floor muscle, the entire perineum region, and hold it along with your Uddiyana Bandha. So people who have some kind of a prolapse, who have done, like, or due for a surgery, should avoid both Uddiyana Bandha and the Mula Bandha, because that may be even aggravating it. But if you are in a regular practice, if you are not having this condition, and if you are in the regular practice of bandhas, your probability of developing this kind of prolapses kinds of decreases. Or if you are in the initial stage, check with your doctor and then, like, you know, practice these bandhas in order to avoid these prolapses. In general, it is good for, even if you don't have this condition, it is generally good for your internal organs. Because we exercise our arm muscle, we exercise our body, all the entire musculoskeletal system. But then, what is there to exercise our internal organs? Only yogic practices like bandhas, asanas, can only work on your internal organs. No other exercise or if you do running, all those are good. Physical exercise, all those are good. Not that I'm not against all those things, but if you have to exactly pinpoint and direct your prana towards your internal organ, then you have to use your breath, because breath is the only thing that can reach that particular point. You cannot physically touch an organ inside, but breath is something like, you can utilize in order to kind of channelize the blood circulation to that particular region, contract that muscle in that particular region using bandhas, several techniques, right? So let's practice this. Inhale now. Exhale completely. Pull the navel inside, contract the abdomen, contract your pelvic floor muscle, entire perineum region. Hold after exhale. Om 1, Om 2. Release. So for people to get a hang of it, this is like, when you are controlling the flow of urination, what kind of muscle you will use. It is the same muscle that will be used to contract and hold during the Mula Bandha. Again, remember, people who have heart condition should avoid the Uddiyana Bandha. Mula Bandha with, you can talk to your doctor and then practice it. All these bandhas or advanced practice. Let's now practice one more breath with all three bandhas. Inhale, hold, and then exhale, hold. Inhale now. Lengthen down towards the chest. Holding in Jalandhara Bandha. 4, 3, 2, 1. Chin is released just half an inch. Exhale completely. Pull the navel inside. Contract the abdomen. Contract your perineum region. Contract your pelvic floor muscle as if you are taking it upward direction. Hold here. 3, 2, 1. Release the bandhas first. Important. Then take the breath. So this is finishes 3 important key principles in which, you can direct the prana, direct the energy, and adjust the ratio for your benefit. I conduct regular pranayama classes, asana classes as well. In case if you are interested, I will add the link to register for my live Zoom classes in the description here after this workshop. You can join me. The next batch starts next month. Every month, I conduct pranayama classes and asana classes. If you have any doubts, post this in the comment section below. I will answer it. Till we finish this workshop, let me see what other questions is being unanswered. So why is it discouraged in yoga to use the mouth to inhale or exhale? Very good question. So as you aptly said, in yoga we keep the mouth closed unless specific pranayamas like Shitali Pranayama, where you flute the tongue and inhale through the fluted tongue. When you do mouth breathing, what happens, you are actually not clearing the impurities. What I mean is, the nose has few hair which is actually has the capacity to trap the impurities from the external world. Okay, so when you are doing mouth breathing, first and foremost, you are not getting that benefit of getting that filtering system. Nose has the capacity to filter the external impurities from external germs from your surroundings. So you are not doing that. And another important reason, when you are doing pranayama practices, when you are doing the yogic practices, you have to channelize, or you have to focus the prana towards your towards your chest region, that is the seat of the prana. When you are channelizing, when you are doing inhale through the mouth, what happens? Some of the air actually gets into your foot pipe rather than your trachea. There is 2 pipes here. One is the trachea, which enters the lungs. The other one is the esophagus that enters into your digestive system. So when you take inhale, some amount goes into your abdomen, creating bloating and gastric region. So at least during the pranayama practice, you have to consciously do nose breathing. Okay, then you eventually get into the practice of doing the nose breathing. Why some people are complaining about dizziness while I don't have any issue? Good, if you don't have any issue. Not everybody gets dizziness out of certain practices. Make sure, like, you know, you are doing it with proper guidance. That is very important. You know, find a teacher near you, or, like, you know, get into some online classes where you can actually interact with the teacher, understand your questions and, like, doubts. Then, you know, it should not be a problem. Okay, so all right, and or like thank you note. Let's finish this practice with Shitali Pranayama and Brahmari exhalation. Let's take a couple of more minutes. Inhale now. Chin is dropped towards the chest. Flute the tongue and raise the head up as you inhale Shitali. On exhalation, Brahmari with a humming bee sound. As you bring the chin down towards the chest. Inhale Shitali. Exhale Brahmari. Continue. Inhale Shitali. Those who can't flute the tongue, there is quite a percentage of people who will not be able to flute the tongue. Purse your mouth like this. Exhale Brahmari. Let's do this couple of more rounds. Inhale Shitali. One more. Relax. Hope this final practice was like a calming practice for you. Use this, like, you know, whenever you want to kind of get into a stress-free mode, calm mode, or even before meditation, where you can bring a state of one-pointedness. Hope this workshop was useful for you. I have a lot of other videos in the in my YouTube channel, the Yogic Lens, where I individually take each and every pranayama, explain the science behind it, and give all the variation, the practices, the benefits, contraindications. Please go through that and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.